Hey, what's up? It's Taclys, and today I'm doing my early Apple Watch review. Now, I am one of the early adopters. I'm one of the crazy people who saved together $400 and stayed up till midnight and managed to get an Apple Watch in a matter of minutes after the store opened. That way I didn't have to wait till June. Though, from what I understand, it'd probably be more like mid-May when more watches start shipping. Anyways, I have an Apple Watch. This is a 42mm black sports watch with a black band. This is all I could afford, realistically. But this video is just going to be my thoughts, my impressions, my early experiences, and the cool things that I think the watch can do. As you've noticed so far in the video, my screen has been black. Your Apple Watch screen will be black most of the time when you're not using it. This is to save battery, which I'm going to get to battery later. But it does a good job saving battery. When you want to look at the time, there's three good ways to do it. Most of the time when you move your wrist to look at your watch, the Apple Watch can uncannily know how you're looking at it, and it will turn on. There is a bit of a delay on that, and I can't show it to you because I don't want to move my wrist, but it's there. It's very accurate. Almost all the time when I move my wrist to look at the time, it's got it. And then the next way is you can tap it, and if you tap it, it just wakes the screen up. The other way, let's let it go dark again. The other way is you can click the digital crown. Now there are two buttons on the side. There's a digital crown, and then there's a button here. I don't know what it's called, but it looks like an iPhone power button or a volume button or something like that. You can click the digital crown and it'll wake it up, and from here you can do quite a bit of things. You can either change the watch face, which is really easy. You force press, which is a very unique thing. I've never seen a touchscreen with force press. You can pick any of these watches, you can customize their faces. A couple of them have pretty cool gimmicks, like the Earth one. You can scroll through time with it, which is pretty cool. Let's go back to this watch. I'm not going to show you guys how to customize them because that takes a while, but all these little nodes here on the top and bottom, they're called complications, and you can change them all. They're not called complications because they're complicated. That's just the watchy term for things that a watch does other than tell time. So let's go over the other things that you can do right off the watch face. You can swipe up, and this opens your glances. Your glances are little bite-sized miniature versions of apps, and from here this is like the settings glance. So I could silence it, I can put it in don't disturb mode. I can ping my iPhone, so if you're the type that loses your iPhone a lot, your watch can help you find it. I am not one of those types. You can go to your music, you can go to Twitter, your activity, and then some other games and your heart rate and stuff like that. So those are your glances, and most apps you can turn glances on and off for. Some apps just don't have a glance available, most do. If you swipe down, you get your notifications. So there's a Twitter notification, a couple of messages from Smart Glass, from an app, stuff like that. You can either tap these notifications to go to the app or to deal with them if it's a text message or something, or you can swipe to the left and clear them if you don't want to deal with them. Yeah, that's pretty much the watch face. Let's get into the operating system. If we click the digital crown, we open the operating system, and this is a very different operating system than anything we've worked with before. This is not the nice modular linear kind of iPhone design that we've been used to. This is quite different. It's round, it's bubbly, the icons change sizes as you scroll around. But I think it works. Considering the screen size, I think it works. I think that trying to fit too much or too little into this screen would have been a problem, and I feel like they did it appropriately. But these icons are pretty small, and I think dealing this with on a smaller screen would have been tough. That being said, I have big hands, big wrists, big fingers. Maybe with someone with smaller wrists, smaller hands, smaller fingers, it works just as well. As you can see, as the bubbles get nearer to the center, they get larger and easier to tap on. If they are in the center of it, like we can go to the let's go to the weather app. You can just scroll into them, so you don't even have to tap them. From what I understood, in earlier versions of the Apple Watch, before it was released to the public, people had concerns with loading times on these Apple Watch apps, and I have not ran into that. There's a couple of apps, mostly the third-party apps, that take a little while to load, but it's not bad. It really isn't. especially given my Wi-Fi and anything that has to pull from the internet, it does remarkably well, just as fast as an iPhone app equivalent. For example, we could go to Lifeline, and granted this is a small app, but just like that, it loads. It's no problem. We can go to the Spywatch app. This one takes a little bit longer, but even then, it's just that fast, and you're in. Really, there's no concern about the time of loading. We can go to Twitter, and it loads things really quickly. Like, we can go to trending, and it's pulling this from our slow internet through our iPhone to the watch, and it loads everything just fine. So I would not say be concerned about that. Let's see, what else do I want to talk about? The Activity app is, I think, one of the more underappreciated apps. This is an excellent app. As you can see, I haven't done much exercise today. Slept in. But this is pretty cool. This lets you customize how many calories you want to burn. You can look at how much exercise you've gotten. This counts how many times you've stood up, at least 1 per hour. This is great. I've been doing as hard as I can to follow this because I am a geek and I can sit in my chair at my desk for hours at a time and never stand up. So I don't think that's healthy for me, so it's good to be standing up some. The workout app is also good. I'm not going to go into many details here, but you can do workouts. It records your heart rate, your distance if you're doing that kind of workout, your all kinds of different stuff. So yeah, the apps on this are good. I'd love to show you guys the camera app, but I think that would stop my recording. You can look through the viewfinder of your iPhone camera and take pictures or refocus, and that's really handy. And it's a cool thing to show off to people who don't understand the Apple Watch. I would also show you the music app, but I did this recording earlier, and when I opened up the music app and tried to play music, it stopped the recording from my iPhone, and I'm recording this video on my iPhone, so I'd hate to have that happen again. Usually though, it's not a problem, and I have synced an album of music to my watch, and I can play it from my watch directly to a Bluetooth speaker, which is handy. There's a couple other things I want to go over that aren't app related, but more just usage related. One of which is the Taptic engine, which is what they're calling it. It is Apple's take on a vibrating engine. The vibration on a phone or a smartphone is the kind of thing where when you turn your phone to vibrate, it's quieter, but everyone can still hear it. Whenever I'm in class and someone's phone on vibrate goes off, it's not quite as disruptive as if the alarm goes off and it plays a ringtone, but it's also kind of annoying because everyone has to pretend that they're not hearing. They have to pretend they're not hearing that. And it was the same way on my Pebble watch. That was a very loud vibrate. And I'm not saying that this is a problem, or not a big problem. It's just like a minor nuisance. Apple Watch doesn't have that. It doesn't have a traditional vibrating engine. And obviously I can't demonstrate it to you because you don't have it strapped to your wrist. But it's a strange sensation. It definitely takes a little bit of getting used to, but it feels... there's no good way to describe it, really. It feels like... having a hard time describing it. On the lower settings, because you can turn up the intensity of it, on the lower settings, it feels almost like you've got kind of a tappy itch on your wrist. It's not anything substantial. It's a really just a little like that. That's how it feels. You can turn it up, and then it feels more like a proper, like a tap on your wrist. But it's not hard and it's not intrusive. Just looking through these watches while I'm talking. You can turn it up a lot more, so it gets darn near a vibrate, and at that point you can hear it a little bit, but then you're not gonna miss it. The subtler taps, you have to take some time to get used to, or else you may miss them at first. So yeah, I think that's one of the more underappreciated features. It's so unique. If you have a chance to go to an Apple store and try a fitting, absolutely do that, and you will have this sensation of, what am I feeling? It doesn't feel mechanical. It feels more lively. I'm not trying to say that to have a bunch of buzzwords or to try to overhype the watch. It really does feel that way. What else? Now, I was going to demonstrate some notifications and how to respond to them, but I can't do that because my iPhone is on and recording, and while it's open, you don't receive the same notifications to your watch. So it's not redundant about that. If you get a notification while your phone's open, it won't go to your watch. And if you reply to it on your watch, it disappears on your phone, which I think that's pretty smooth. You could do similar things on the Pebble, but it's a lot more manual and kind of clunky. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to forcibly text someone. So we can press this other button here, and I've got a couple of options. Now, I don't have a lot of friends that I text with on a regular basis. My mom, my sister, my dad, my friend Jess, and my friend Sauce. We are going to text Becky. She's my sister. She's pretty cool. Now, from here we can hit the message button, and these are some of the canned answers and a couple of my custom answers that I've put in because those are things that I regularly say. Now, I could send an emote, and these will go to other iPhones too. It shows up just like it does on the watch, which is pretty cool. And I found that emotes are a good way to communicate with someone in a kind of a funny way and in an easy way. It's not something that you want to do seriously, but let's say that that my sister texted me something weird. I could go here and I could try to find one that kind of matches my response. So she texts me a picture of the new Joker, for example, from Suicide Squad, and I could be like, what? Reply to that, and that's a pretty accurate response. This isn't something you'd want to do seriously, and you probably want to tell the person in advance that you're going to be doing this, that you may be sending emojis because you have a watch, but I think it's a pretty easy way to communicate. Now, you can also be serious and either select one of these canned answers, and these answers will change if you receive a text. These will try to change to answering the text. I've never found that to be super useful. Usually it just gives you more answers to pick from. But you can use Siri, and let's try to use Siri. Now, I've always had great success with Watch Siri. But if I have something between me and Siri, then my success goes down a lot. And right now there's a camera between me and Siri. So let's give it a try. Hey Becky, comma, this is a text from my Apple Watch during the video. There we go. We can send that. And it'll ask me if I want to send it as text or as audio. Now, if you make a mistake, or if Siri makes a mistake in the text, you can just send it as audio. Or if you want to, you can hit cancel and try it again. But I'm going to send that as text. So it just sent off to Becky. And then I can go to the Messages app. Go here. And it shows the text I just sent. Now we're going to wait for a bit and see if she responds. Who knows if she will. She may be busy. She's a busy person with an actual job. But if she responds, we'll get back to that. You can also make phone calls directly from your watch. I'm not going to do that in this video, but I could go here and I could hit the call button and it would call them and I could talk directly from my watch, or I could send it to my iPhone and then I could talk off of my iPhone. I would say that that's useful in quiet situations where you're by yourself. The microphone on the Apple Watch is quite good, so the person that you're talking to won't be able to really notice that you're not talking on a phone, that you're talking on a watch, but the speaker on the Apple Watch is not great. So if you do that, you'll want to be in a quiet environment so that you can hear it, because the other person will be able to hear you pretty well. It's just you won't be able to hear yourself very well. If you're wondering what those background sounds and kind of meowing are, my cat really wants to get into my computer room right now. She's lonely. So, yeah, those are the main features of the Apple Watch. And now comes... oh, there's one other thing. Let's talk about this band. This band is it looks like silicone. It's a floral something or other complex term, and something that always annoyed me with my Pebble, and I knew I could change it if I felt so inclined, but I didn't, is the wristband that I got was just silicone, rubbery silicone. It wasn't very comfortable, and I had to wear it loose because if I washed my hands, if I sweated, if I got any part of it wet, it would just stay wet and sticky under that band for the rest of the day, and it was the most uncomfortable feeling in the world. So I always wore it loose so it could dry easily. Gosh, my cat is really determined to get in. This is not that band. It's a smoother kind of velvety band, but it's also still a rubber. So it's really lightweight, it's squishy, it's bendy, but it's also, it's very comfortable. I can wear this much tighter and it doesn't feel uncomfortable. It doesn't sweat as well as, say, leather, so if I get water under the wristband, I do try to dry that off, but it also sweats much better than a silicone band or something like that. So this is a much better band, and for a sports band, it makes a lot of sense. This clasp it looks clunkier than it is. The videos and the pictures of this band make it look like it's some huge piece of clunkiness, and really, as you can see, I don't know if you can see that, it's really not. It looks pretty normal. It takes some getting used to putting it on, but past that, it's pretty normal. Really, the band is quite nice. I would not complain about this band. I don't know if I'd pay $50 for this band, but I'm not going to complain about it. The Apple Watch bands that Apple sells are ridiculously overpriced. I'm totally willing to admit that. I did have an Apple Watch fitting at a store, and of the bands that I fit, the leather link, I think that was called, the leather one that had magnets in it, without a doubt, was the most comfortable and the best to wear. The Milanese, which is like metal fiber, metal cloth almost, that one felt okay, but you'd have to wear it really tight for it to be snug, or else it just flop all over your wrist. And while the steel link looked really nice, it was also really freaking heavy and costs like $500. So of the watch bands, I'd say go with this one, and you can get in a number of colors, or go with the leather link, or wait till third-party places make their own watch bands, which cost pennies on the dollar and are close to as good a quality. So yeah. Now let's talk about my experience with the watch, and I'm not really sure what to put up on here while we're talking about this, so I'm just going to fiddle around with some of these different apps while we're doing this. My experience with the Apple Watch has been good. I've already been convinced on the smartwatch idea, obviously, because I had a smartwatch. We're going to play some Box Pop, which I've never actually tried on my watch. I downloaded it on my phone, and I haven't tried it on my watch. This is a pretty fun app. So it's been a good experience for me. I've enjoyed it. It's done what I want pretty well. But if you're not convinced on the smartwatch idea, I'm not exactly sure what to say that would convince you, other than it's an extension of your watch or your phone in a natural way. And you might be thinking, oh, I spent $200 on my phone. Why would I need to spend another $350 on an extension? And that's a very good point. And actually, that's probably the best point against getting an Apple Watch, is that they're obscenely expensive. I managed to get one because I sold my old iPhone for more than I thought I would be able to. And I sold my iPad because it wasn't being used anymore for various reasons. I wouldn't put that against Apple. I just had moved on. I actually used my iPad pretty much as a gaming console, and then I bought an Xbox, and that became my gaming console. So, yeah, that's probably the biggest thing against the Apple Watch is its price. But if money isn't an issue, which I know it is for us, most of us mortals, I'd say it's a good purchase. It really helps. It helps me stay off my phone. I'm definitely the type of person who can get on to reply to a text. And while I'm replying to a text, I go look at funny pictures. And when I look through all the new funny pictures, I go to Twitter and see what people are posting. And then I check my email, and then I check my channel, and then I see if there's any new pictures. And then I go online and I read an article for something that I'm anticipating. Then I go find a random fact, and I go look at some channel on YouTube. And the next thing I know, I've spent a half hour on my phone doing absolutely nothing. My watch helps me cure that, because if someone texts me, I go through, I wouldn't call it clunky, I'd call it super simplified way of responding to them. That way, I just respond to them and I'm done. I can go back to whatever I was doing. I don't need to waste a half hour on stupid piddly stuff, and that's probably the best thing this does for me, honestly. It keeps me off my phone, which is just fantastic. My phone eats so much of my time. Now, that doesn't say that you won't be on your phone, because you can always still pull it out and all that, but it helps you keep off the little stupid piddly stuff. I'd also say that the workout feature of this app is fantastic. The workout features of the Pebble were non-existent, if I can put it bluntly. There was nothing. The only workout, despite it being pushed as a workout app, I'm not gonna get that cube down there. Despite being pushed as a workout device, I really never had any luck finding a good app that would work with its iPhone counterpart for it. Maybe on Android, but not on iPhone. But the workout app on this is exceptional because it tracks your heart rate, it tracks your elevation, it tracks your distance, it tracks your pace, it tracks your calories burned. Now I have no idea how accurate calories burned is because I don't know any other way to test it, but I'm just going to assume that it's accurate. And it's impressive, really it is. And I've been trying to lose some weight recently because, once again, I'm a geek and I can sit all day around. But and the watch really facilitates that. It also appeals to my gamer side to have distinct bars that I can look at to fill, and my gamer side just says, I have to fill those bars. It's imperative. And when you fill those bars, you can get achievements, and getting achievements is imperative, and I have to get the achievements. So it definitely pushes toward my audience size and age for the workout bit, and I love that. Answering phone calls can be a little clunky unless you're by yourself, but when you're by yourself, it's a fun gimmick, if not something I'd use all the time. There is one last big point I want to talk about, and this is probably the other biggest thing that people were worried about the Apple Watch, is the battery. Everyone thought that an 18-hour battery for a watch is ridiculous. Come on, tap. There. And I would say, in general, people were soured by that because most tech companies overguess or overestimate their battery life. If they say it's a 24-hour battery life, that's if you barely use it. It's really a 18-hour battery life, and as the phone's age gets on and the battery life gets slower and weaker and softer, you're going to be looking at a 18-hour battery, a 15-hour battery, a 12-hour battery, a 10-hour battery, and then a 5-hour battery if you use it hard. And people were soured by that idea, which is understandable. My iPhone 5, as much as I love that thing, the battery on it when I sold it was atrocious. I had to, pretty much everywhere I went, I had to keep a charging cable with me, or else it would die in a matter of hours. My iPhone 6 Plus has been wonderful. But most people think that that they overestimated the battery life, and I would go so far to say that they underestimated it. This watch has a phenomenal battery. Let's go back to the watch face, and as you can see, it is almost noon for me. Oh, this watch face doesn't have a battery on it. This one does. It's almost noon for me. I've been wearing it for several hours. We're at 91%. I've replied to texts. I have played music. I obviously have been doing all kinds of stuff during this demo, and we're at 91%. Yesterday, I used it all day long hard. I replied to text, I sent emojis, played music, played games. I went to bed and it was still over 50%. In fact, I almost forgot to charge it because it had so much battery. The first couple of days, I knew for a fact that I would be wearing the battery life down even harder because I'd be all excited about my new piece of tech and I wanted to use it all day long. And even then, using it as hard as I reasonably could, syncing apps to it, playing games, deleting apps, rearranging the settings, playing with the different sounds and the feedback, at the end of the day, and a long day too, it still had 20% battery, and that was over 18 hours of usage. The battery life on this, don't even worry about it. The battery's fantastic. Unless you're going to be the type who never pulls out your iPhone, all you do is stare at your wrist all day long and play games and text people and use the camera feature and the maps and all that. You're not going to wear the battery out. It's an excellent battery. Oh, speaking of maps, the Maps app for watch is fantastic. It taps you on the wrist about 150 or so plus feet before any turn. So I use this just testing it out, go around town where I live to places that I knew how to get to, and it always gave me the right route. It always notified me before I needed to turn, and that was really wonderful and helpful. So yeah, the Maps app for this is great. So this is becoming a pretty long video. Obviously, I'd like to say I've only had it for about a week. This is my impressions after a week. There's a lot of things I can change, and I fully intend to do a follow-up video to this in about 3 or 4 months. after I've really gotten to use it, after the hype is worn off, after a lot other third-party apps come out. Once a docking station for this costs $20 and not $250 because people are still crazy. Once all that happens and I've really gotten to know this watch inside and out, then I'm going to do a follow-up video and tell you guys what my thoughts for it then are. So thank you guys very much for watching. If you don't like the Apple Watch concept, I would ask that you don't downvote this video just because you don't like the Apple Watch concept. This is my thought, my opinions. If you don't like it, don't downvote this video because of it. If you think I did a bad job in the video, then you can downvote it. But not just because you don't agree with the Apple Watch concept. So thank you guys for watching. Hopefully this was educational. If you have any questions for me at all, I will do my absolute best to answer them all. So thanks for watching. I will see you guys later.